Good morning, this is Kris Shoemaker, also known as Yehudah ben Shomeyr, and you're listening to Coffee with Kris, the time of the day where we share a cup of coffee and share a bit of the Word of God. All right, we are on our second Sidra, our second Aliyah for this Torah portion for this week called Tazria, which means she conceives, and it's talking about the purification of a woman after childbirth, and then it kind of slides right on into the identification process that the priests go through to identify leprosy that is broken out on an individual. So today I want to focus on the verses in Leviticus chapter 13, verses 16 and 17, where a Kohen, a priest, will actually look in and realize that a person has been cleansed from their leprosy. And it says, or if the raw flesh changes and turns white, then he must come to the Kohen. The Kohen, which is the Levitical priest, is to examine him, and behold, if the plague has turned white, basically it's become scarified, right? It's turned into a scar. Then the Kohen shall pronounce him clean of the plague, specifically of the plague of leprosy, and he will be clean. Now, we translate that as leprosy in the English, but za'aretz, which is the Hebrew word that they translate leprosy from, za'aretz could be any form of skin disease, any form of skin affliction, not just regulated to leprosy. Now, it was kind of a rare thing for somebody to be cleansed or purified or healed of leprosy. It was probably rarely ever seen among the Kohen, and when it was pretty much declared a miracle. So, what happens when a person is pronounced clean? Well, I want to relate this to what Yeshua did in Matthew chapter 8. In Matthew chapter 8, Yeshua runs into a leper, and this is how it turns out. When he came down from the mountain, large crowds followed him. A man with za'aretz, with leprosy, came to him. See, leprosy was a death sentence. Basically, if it was the traditional form of leprosy, your skin would literally rot off your body. It was highly contagious, and a person with leprosy was made to live outside the city limits. Sometimes they had leprosy colonies or leprosy camps. Other times they just lived by themselves, and they were quarantined from everybody. So you could imagine the loneliness and despair and the depression that a person with za'aretz would go through. So it says, a man with za'aretz came to him and bowed down before him, saying, Master, if you are willing, you can make me clean. So apparently this leper somewhere, somehow, knew that Yeshua could cleanse lepers, could heal lepers, and he was desperate. He was willing to break every law. Basically, the law, you can't be in public, you can't be within the city limits or within crowds of people. He was willing to do whatever it took to become clean. So he says, Master, if you are willing, you can make me clean. Yeshua stretched out his hand and touched him and said, I am willing, be cleansed. Immediately, his za'aret, his leprosy, was cleansed. And what do you think Yeshua did after that? Oh, well, hey, congratulations. You just experienced a one and only lifetime healing from Yeshua the Messiah. Now go and live in peace. Have a great life. No. Yeshua said to him, see that you tell no one. In other words, don't make this public. Don't run around and saying what happened. He said, instead, go show yourself to the Kohen. Show yourself to the priest. Don't tell anybody that you've been healed. Let your healing be confirmed by the one who is trained to see if somebody's been healed, which is the Levitical priesthood. So see that you tell no one, but go show yourself to the Kohen and offer the gift that Moses commanded. What gift is this? Diamond ring? 10,000 bucks? Well, no, it was a sacrifice. It was a sacrifice, and offer the gift that Moses commanded as a testimony to them. Now, let's jump ahead, or jump backwards, so to speak, to Leviticus chapter 14, and we'll see just what Yeshua commanded the leper to do. We'll read about it here in Leviticus chapter 14, verses 8 through 12. The one to be cleansed must wash his clothes, shave off all his hair, and bathe himself in water. Then he should be clean, and after that he may come into the camp, but is to dwell outside his tent for 7 days. Then on the 7th day he is to shave all the hair from his head, his beard, his eyebrows. He must shave off all his hair. He is to wash his clothes, bathe his body in water, and he will be clean. Here we go. On the 8th day, he is to take 2 male lambs without blemish. So this is what Yeshua was telling the cleansed leper to do. Don't tell anybody, but do what the Torah says. Go to the priest. On the 8th day, he is to take 2 male lambs without blemish. See, Yeshua said, go show yourself to the priest and bring the gift that Moses commanded. This is the gift that Moses commanded. 2 male lambs without blemish, 1-year-old ewe lamb without blemish, 3/10 of a pint of fine flour as a grain offering mingled with oil, and a pint of oil. The Kohen who cleanses him is to set the man who is to be cleansed along with those items before Adonai at the entrance to the tent of meeting. The Kohen shall take one of the male lambs and offer it for a trespass offering with a pint of oil and a wave offering, and wave them as a wave offering before Adonai. Okay, so Yeshua said, see that you tell no one, but go show yourself to the priest and offer the gift Moses commanded. That's what we just wrote about. Why? As a testimony to them. The priest, this is probably the first time ever this priest would probably have ever seen somebody be healed of leprosy. Because, you know, there was a lot of priests during that day. They had their own shifts that they would take. So could you imagine all the lepers that were cleansed by Yeshua and all those that obeyed Yeshua and brought the sacrifice to the temple and showed themselves to the Kohen, them being well known as a leper and them being cleansed? What happened? Who did it as a testimony to them? Tell me what happened. How were you cleansed? This man Yeshua, he cleansed me. He spoke these words, or he touched me, or what have you, and he cleansed me. They were to give a testimony not to the people, but give a testimony to the priests. And you'll see later in the book of Acts that there is a lot of Kohen, a lot of priests who come to know Yeshua as Messiah. So this is the foundation of Yeshua witnessing to the Levitical priesthood. I think that's great. So Yeshua encourages others to keep Torah, to keep God's instructions. Keeping Torah can be a witness to others, as in this instance that we just read about. So, guys, thanks so much for listening. Go out there and have a great day. Have a great week. Shalom, and God bless.